There is a club, a very old, very expensive, very exclusive club. And for 70 years, this club had one rule. If you want to go 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 2 seconds, you pay the price. Not the price of a car, the price of a house in London in cash. They told you that speed was not a product. They told you speed was an inheritance, something handed down from Italian grandfathers, something born in the cobblestone streets of Maranello, something that lived in the smell of premium leather and the sound of a screaming 12-cylinder engine. They build walls of prestige, of heritage, of mystique, to disguise a very simple truth. They were overcharging you for basic physics. Today, a car built in Guangzhou, China, has walked through those walls. It didn't knock, it didn't ask for permission. It arrived with 1,225 horsepower, a full carbon fiber body, and a price tag that has made every CEO in Maranello, Stuttgart, and Woking physically uncomfortable. This is the GAC Hyptec SSR, and this video is its story. Let us start with a number that will frame everything you are about to hear. $3,800,000. That is the starting price of a Bugatti Chiron in 2025. A car so expensive that most people who own one never drive it. They park it in a climate-controlled glass garage and watch it appreciate like a painting. For $3.8 million, the Chiron gives you 1,500 horsepower, a W16 engine, 16 cylinders arranged in the shape of the letter W, because apparently 16 cylinders in a row was considered too subtle. It will take you from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in approximately 2.4 seconds. 2.4 seconds. Write that number down. We will return to it. Now let us talk about the Ferrari SF90, a car that the Western press called a masterpiece of modern engineering when it launched, a car that costs over $500,000 in the United States, and in markets like the United Kingdom, Australia, and Brazil, where taxes stack upon taxes, you're looking at a bill that climbs toward $800,000, approaching $1 million for a car. The media celebrated it. The billionaires queued for it. The YouTubers flew to Maranello to stroke it. And to be fair, it is an extraordinary machine. 986 horsepower from a hybrid V8. 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds. A masterpiece of Italian engineering discipline built over 70 years of motorsport history. But here's the question that nobody in the press was asking. Why does it cost $500,000? Not what makes it fast. We know what makes it fast. Horsepower is just physics. Torque is just physics. Carbon fiber is just chemistry. The question is, who decided that these physics cost $500,000? And why did we all agree? The answer is not engineering. The answer is geography. It costs $500,000 because it comes from Maranello, because it has a prancing horse on the bonnet, because a man in a suit will explain to you that the leather on your seat was sourced from a specific cattle farm in Bavaria, because exclusivity, the feeling of owning something the masses cannot afford, has a price tag that has nothing to do with the engineering inside. This is what economists call a prestige premium. The West did not just sell you a fast car, they sold you a story. And for 70 years, that story was worth millions because there was nobody on earth who could tell a better story using better engineering at a fraction of the cost. Until now. To understand why the Hyptec SSR exists, you need to understand who built it and why. GAC, Guangzhou Automobile Group, is not a startup. It is not a garage project funded by a tech billionaire with a dream. GAC is one of the largest automotive groups in China, with over 16 years of research and development infrastructure. They have been quietly building engineering capability while the Western press was busy writing about their budget SUVs and affordable sedans. In 2020, GAC revealed a concept car called the N-Pulse. Almost nobody outside of China paid attention. It was a sleek, low-slung electric roadster concept that hinted at something serious. The Western automotive media glanced at it, smiled politely, and moved on. That was the first mistake. In September 2022, GAC launched a new premium sub-brand. They called it Hyper, later renamed Hyptec in 2024. And on the day they launched, they revealed the production version of what the N-Pulse had promised, the Hyptec SSR. SSR stands for Super, Sport, Race. Not aspirational words, not marketing language, a technical declaration. And here is something the Western press consistently failed to report. The design of this car was not entirely created in China. The exterior concept was developed with significant involvement from GAC's Advanced Design Studio in Los Angeles, California. The executive design director, Pontus Fontanus, is Swedish. This car is not China copying the West. This car is China hiring the West's designers and out-engineering the West's manufacturers. That distinction matters enormously. When the SSR was fully revealed, with its performance specifications published for the world to see, the silence from Maranello, Stuttgart, and Woken was deafening. Because the numbers made no sense. Not in the way they were accustomed to. If you want to understand the deepest layer of the hypercar scam, you need to talk about carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is not a rare material. The raw polymer, polyacrylnitrile, is not precious. The process of converting it into structural fiber is well-understood chemistry. It has been understood since the 1960s. It has been used in aerospace, in Formula One, in military aircraft for decades. And yet, when a brand like Pagani uses carbon fiber, which they call carbo-titanium, because naming things dramatically is part of the business model, they charge you an extraordinary premium for it. A Pagani Utopia costs approximately $1.7 million. A Koenigsegg Jesko costs $3 million for a carbon fiber body. Why? Because they turned a chemical manufacturing process into a religious ceremony. In Modena, carbon fiber is hand-laid by craftsmen who trained for years. Panels are individually inspected. Individual fibers are arranged by hand. It is slow, it is inefficient, and it is deliberately kept that way, because the story of a craftsman spending 6 weeks on a single bonnet panel is worth money to customers who want to feel they are buying art, not engineering. GAC looked at this and asked a very different question. Not, how do we make carbon fiber feel special, but how do we make carbon fiber better and cheaper? The answer was industrialization. The Hyptec SSR is the first mass-produced car in history with a 100% high-strength carbon fiber body using aerospace-grade T800 material. T800. This is the same specification of carbon fiber used in the structural frames of stealth fighter jets, the fuselage panels of long-range strategic aircraft, the pressure housings of advanced satellites. And instead of having a craftsman in a beret lay it by hand over 3 months, GAC engineered a proprietary rapid forming process using industrial-scale autoclaves, massive high-pressure ovens that cure an entire carbon fiber body component in 6 minutes. 6 minutes! Compared to the hours or days that European manufacturers require. The result is a body with a torsional rigidity of over 50,000 Newton-meters per degree. If that number means nothing to you, let me put it in context. Torsional rigidity measures how resistant a car's body structure is to twisting under load. A higher number means the chassis is stiffer. A stiffer chassis means better handling, better crash protection, and better communication between driver and road. A Porsche 911 GT3, one of the most celebrated sports cars in the world, has a torsional rigidity of approximately 17,000 Newton-meters per degree. The GAC Hyptec SSR has 50,475 Newton-meters per degree. The Chinese car's body is nearly 3 times stiffer than one of Germany's finest sports cars. And the carbon fiber does not just make it stiff, it makes it extraordinarily light. Carbon fiber is 20% the weight of steel and 2.5 times stronger. The SSR's body weight is a fraction of what an equivalent steel or aluminum structure would be. Every kilogram saved is a kilogram that does not need to be moved during that 1.9-second launch. The Chinese machine has done something the Europeans refused to do. It took the most structurally superior material available to automotive engineering and made it economical. It made it scalable. It made it accessible. For 30 years, European manufacturers used carbon fiber as a luxury signal, as a way to say, this car is special because this material is expensive. GAC used carbon fiber as an engineering tool, and then made the engineering tool cheap. The mask has slipped. Now we need to talk about what lives inside this carbon monster. Because the body is just the container. What is inside the container is where the real humiliation of the Western hypercar industry begins. The Hyptec SSR uses what GAC calls the quark drive system. 3 electric motors, 1 on the front axle, 2 independent motors on the rear axle, 1 for each rear wheel. Combined, they produce 900 kilowatts, 1,225 horsepower. For context, the Ferrari SF90 produces 986 horsepower from a 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8, combined with 3 electric motors. It uses the combined output of a petrol engine and 3 electric motors to reach that figure. The GAC Hyptec SSR produces 1,225 horsepower from electric motors alone. No combustion, no exhaust, no oil to change, no fuel to pump. But the horsepower figure, as impressive as it is not the number that makes Western engineers go pale. The number is this: 12,000 Newton-meters of torque at the wheels. 12,000 Newton-meters. Let us understand this. Torque is the rotational force that physically twists the wheels and shoves the car forward. It is the punch. It is the brutality that you feel in your spine when a car launches hard. And it is delivered instantly at 0 RPM in an electric motor. No warming up, no power band to chase, no gear to select. The moment you press the accelerator, all 12,000 Newton-meters arrive simultaneously at the tarmac. The Bugatti Chiron, with its 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, and $3.8 million price tag, produces 1,600 Newton-meters of torque. The Chinese electric car produces 12,000. That is 7.5 times more twisting force delivered to the road. 7.5 times. And the Hyptec SSR delivers this through a 900-volt electrical architecture using silicon carbide inverters. Silicon carbide is not standard automotive electronics. It is a semiconductor material typically reserved for the most demanding industrial and military power electronics because of its ability to operate at extreme temperatures and switching speeds with minimal energy loss. Standard EV inverters operate at roughly 95 to 97% electrical efficiency. Some energy is always lost as heat, the physics of electrical resistance. The silicon carbide inverters in the Hyptec SSR operate at 99.8% efficiency. This means that 99.8% of the energy drawn from the battery actually reaches the motors. 0.2% is lost. Compare that to the best petrol engine in the Ferrari SF90, which operates at approximately 40% thermal efficiency, meaning 60% of the fuel energy is lost as heat and exhaust noise. The physics don't lie, and the physics are devastating for the legacy industry. The 900-volt architecture also solved the problem that has haunted performance EVs for years: thermal management under extreme load. By doubling the voltage compared to standard 400-volt systems, the SSR delivers the same power with half the current. Lower current means lower heat. Lower heat means no thermal throttling, no software intervention to slow the car down and protect the hardware during repeated launches. This is the first electric hypercar that can be taken to a racetrack, launched repeatedly at full power, and not go into limp mode protecting itself from overheating. That is not a marketing claim. That is engineering made real. And then there is the world record. In 2023, a professional driver named Ye Qicheng took the Hyptec SSR to a closed course and maintained a 30-degree drift angle at a verified speed of 213.523 kilometers per hour. The Guinness World Records team was present. The result was certified. 213 kilometers per hour, while the rear of the car is deliberately pointed in a different direction from the front. This is not a light sports car. This is not a stripped-down race prototype. This is a production road car you can buy. The world record for electric vehicle drift speed. Written in China. There is a dirty secret in the hypercar industry that is more profitable than the car itself. The service contract. When you buy a $500,000 Ferrari, the purchase price is only the beginning of the financial relationship. A standard service on a Ferrari SF90, checking fluids, replacing filters, inspecting the hybrid systems, can cost between $10,000 and $30,000. A major service interval, including clutch inspection on the dual-clutch transmission, can approach $50,000. A set of tires for a Bugatti Chiron, custom-specified Michelin Pilot Sport rubber bonded to custom alloy rims that can only be unmounted at Bugatti-authorized facilities, costs approximately $50,000. Not because the rubber is made from gold, because Bugatti has engineered an ownership dependency. If anything breaks seriously on your Bugatti outside of warranty, the car must be transported, shipped, crated, and transported to Molsheim, France, the factory, for certain repairs. This is not a premium service. This is a captive market. The business model is simple. Sell a complicated machine, keep the parts proprietary, keep the servicing exclusive, keep the owner permanently dependent on the dealership network. The Hyptec SSR was engineered to destroy this model. Because it is a pure electric car, there is no combustion engine to service, no oil to change, no spark plugs to replace, no valve timing to adjust, no dual-clutch transmission with clutch packs that wear under hard use and require rebuilding, no cooling system for an engine that does not exist. The electric motors are magnetic. There are no pistons slamming against cylinder walls. There are no turbocharger bearings spinning at 100,000 RPM waiting to fail. The primary wear component in an electric motor is the bearings. That is it. And even the tires, which for a car producing 12,000 Newton-meters of torque are a critical engineering consideration, were approached differently. GAC worked with aviation technology partners to develop tires derived from aircraft landing gear rubber. These are compounds engineered to survive the thermal shock of a 200-ton commercial aircraft impacting a runway at 300 kilometers per hour. They handle the violent repeated launches of the SSR without the exotic price premium of European high-performance rubber. The total cost of ownership for the Hyptec SSR is not just lower than a comparable European hypercar, it is structurally lower, permanently and by design. GAC did not just build a faster car, they built a car that refuses to extract money from you after the sale. For the legacy hypercar brands, this is existential. Because if the customer discovers they can have superior performance and a dramatically lower running cost, then the entire prestige tax business model begins to collapse under its own weight. For over a century, the unspoken contract of the supercar industry was this: we sell you the machine, you figure out the rest. A Bugatti Chiron is electronically limited to 420 kilometers per hour. This is not a theoretical top speed that requires a runway and a prayer. This is what the car can physically do if you are brave enough and have access to enough empty road. The problem is that nobody has trained you to manage what happens at 300 kilometers per hour. The aerodynamic forces, the tire temperature management, the braking distances that extend beyond anything your instincts have prepared for. The Europeans sold you the weapon and left you to learn how to use it yourself. And if you crashed it, they sold you a new one. GAC chose a different philosophy. The Hyptec SSR includes an AI track coach system integrated into the car's onboard computing architecture. This is not a driving mode selector. This is not a traction control toggle. This is a real-time performance analysis system that samples the car's telemetry data 500 times per second. Your speed, your steering angle, your braking pressure, your throttle position, your lateral G-forces, all analyzed simultaneously 500 times every second against an optimized performance model. The results are projected directly onto an augmented reality heads-up display visible through the windscreen. The perfect racing line for the corner you are approaching appears on the road in front of you. The exact braking point? Marked. The optimal apex? Marked. The exit line? Marked. You are not reading these from a screen. You are seeing them overlaid on reality in real time while the car is moving. This system democratizes performance driving skill in a way that has never existed before. You do not need years of track experience. You do not need a $50,000 professional racing school program. You do not need to hire a driving coach. The car is the coach. And it becomes your personal coach on every single lap, every single session, learning your tendencies and pushing you toward the correct inputs. While Lamborghini charges you for carbon ceramic brakes as an option and recommends you attend their driver experience program at additional cost, GAC built the teacher into the machine. The Chinese manufacturers are not just building faster cars at lower prices, they are building more intelligent cars, cars that understand that the driver is also part of the performance equation. The interior of the SSR is a statement in itself, a 14.6-inch touchscreen, an 8.88-inch LCD instrument cluster, a minimalist cockpit designed around the concept of an exoskeleton architecture. The structural elements of the car are visible design features rather than hidden behind trim panels. This is racing philosophy applied to a road car. The vegan leather. Yes, the interior uses no animal products. Bio-based suede on the lower surfaces, recycled yarns in the textile elements developed with 3D weaving technology. A car that is simultaneously the fastest thing most people will ever sit in and one of the most environmentally considered luxury interiors available. European brands charge a premium for sustainable interiors as an option. The SSR made it standard. Let us zoom out. Because the Hyptec SSR is not just a car, it is a proof of concept, and the proof it offers has implications that extend far beyond the hypercar segment. For decades, the global pricing structure of performance vehicles was maintained by a simple geographical monopoly. Italy owned the exotic end. Germany owned the precision premium end. Britain owned the handcrafted artisan end, America owned the raw muscle end, and China, in the Western imagination, made affordable cars for domestic consumption. That mental model is now broken beyond repair. Starting at approximately $186,000 USD for the base specification and $244,000 for the ultimate track variant, the Hyptec SSR positions itself against a competitive set that starts at 4 times the price. For $186,000 USD, you get 1,225 horsepower, a full T800 aerospace carbon fiber body, a 900-volt silicon carbide electrical architecture, a world record-setting chassis, an AI driving coach, aviation-derived tires, and a 0 to 100 time that is faster than anything Ferrari, Lamborghini, or McLaren sells at 2 or 3 times the price. The value compression is not incremental. It is not a 20% improvement. The price-to-performance ratio of the SSR versus its European competition is the most extreme disruption in the history of the performance car market. In the United States, the UK, and Australia, the 3 most important luxury car markets outside China, the impact of this pricing is seismic. European brands have spent decades training their customers to equate price with quality. A Ferrari must cost $500,000 because if it cost less, it would be less. That psychological architecture is now being demolished. Because when a machine from Guangzhou outperforms the $500,000 machine in every measurable technical category and costs less than half the price, the customer begins to ask an uncomfortable question. What exactly was I paying for before? The legacy brands are not standing still. Ferrari is developing its first fully electric supercar. Lamborghini is transitioning its range to hybrid and eventually electric. McLaren has been through financial difficulties and is rebuilding its model line. Porsche, perhaps the most technically sophisticated of the traditional brands, has made significant progress with the Taycan. But they are all starting from behind. They are transitioning from combustion to electric, while Chinese manufacturers have been engineering electric first from the ground up. It is the difference between renovating a house and building a new one on a better foundation. The ripple effect extends beyond the hypercar segment. If Chinese manufacturers can produce a world-class hypercar at 1/10 the price of European equivalents, the same manufacturing philosophy, the same material science, the same electrical architecture can be applied to mainstream sports cars, to premium SUVs, to family saloons. And in fact, it already is being applied. BYD, XPeng, NIO, Li Auto, each of these manufacturers is bringing the same engineering-first, cost-second philosophy to segments the European brands considered safely theirs. The hypercar was just the most dramatic, most visible proof point. We began this video with a club that sold speed as a privilege, that sold carbon fiber as ceremony, that sold maintenance bills as tradition. The GAC Hyptec SSR is not a member of that club. It is a demolition notice served on the club's front door. 1,225 horsepower, 12,000 newton meters of wheel torque, 1.9 seconds to 100 kilometers per hour, a world record drift speed of 213 kilometers per hour. A full T800 aerospace carbon fiber body with 50,475 newton meters per degree of torsional rigidity. A 900-volt silicon carbide architecture running at 99.8% electrical efficiency. An AI track coach sampling your driving 500 times per second. Aviation-derived tires engineered to withstand repeated maximum force launches. Starting at $186,000. The Bugatti Chiron does 0 to 100 in 2.4 seconds. It costs $3.8 million. The Chinese car does it in 1.9 seconds. It costs $186,000. The Italian Ferrari SF90 does it in 2.5 seconds. It costs $500,000. The numbers have stopped making any argument for the old world. The supercar industry spent 70 years building a prestige tax, a financial wall between engineering and the people who love engineering. China spent 16 years building the tool to demolish it. The Hyptec SSR is not just a fast car, it is a message, written in carbon fiber, signed in silicon carbide, delivered at 1.9 seconds flat. The king is dead, and the new era of speed does not bow to geography. This is Four Wheels. We exist to tell you the truth about what is happening in the global car industry because the mainstream automotive press won't. If this video opened your eyes, hit the subscribe button because the story of China versus the West in automotive technology is only getting more dramatic, more disruptive, and far more entertaining. The next video is already going to make you question everything you thought you knew about the car industry. Don't miss it.